Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Robert. I'm here today to do a book tag, the last 10 books tag. And to demonstrate just how awful I am at keeping up with tags, I was tagged by Laura at Paperback Laura 4 months ago on this one, and I'm just now getting to it. I'm probably still 15, 18 tags behind. So I'm trying to catch up one a week now for the next several months and see if I can get a little bit of the backlog caught up. Anybody who's tagged me, I apologize profusely. I dropped the ball on tags for a couple months and I'm just now getting back to them. So as I mentioned, I was tagged by Laura at Paperback Laura, and the original tag is by Marc Nash. And I will put links to both of their versions of this tag in the description box below. All right, so let's just jump into the questions. I'll try to keep this one relatively short this week. Number one, the last book you didn't finish. And this was one I'm not sure I really have an answer for because I can't remember the last book I DNF'd. I have tried to take on Sean's advice of Sean the Book Maniac and DNF books I don't like, but I can't make myself do it, and I'm not really sure why. I suspect it has something to do with the Goodreads challenge. If I get halfway into a book, I feel like, well, I've already invested half of the book. I might as well finish it and get credit for it on my challenge. Very rarely has a book that I've hated in the first half come back and surprise me in the second half. So I don't know what I'm expecting, what miracle I'm expecting to happen. So I don't honestly remember the last book I DNF'd. It's been a couple of years, I'm sure, since the last one. Number two, the last book you reread. And for me, this was Charles Dickens' Hard Times. It's a book I studied at university. It's a book I studied again in graduate school. And then I read it a month or so ago in one of my read-along videos for the classics. The last book you bought. I've actually bought very few books recently. I'm proud of myself. Since I moved to Durham, I have rediscovered the joys of library checking out, and I have been using my reserve list voraciously, and most of the books that I've read in the last month or so have come from the library. But the one book I did buy is that new compendium, 1,000 Books to Read Before You Die. I think the editor's name is Mustich. I forget the exact name. Because I'm a sucker for lists and I love looking at the lists. I've been going through just the novels on his list, and I'm surprised by a bunch of them, and I'm surprised by some that aren't there. But that's the nature of all these kinds of lists. I can't imagine how long it took him to put together this particular work, given that there is a page or two write-up for every single book of his 1,000. Number four, the last book you said you read but didn't. This one I'm not sure has ever really applied to me. There have been books I thought I have read and it turns out I haven't read. That happens to me frequently because I have old man brain. But I don't remember ever lying about a book. Even in school, I was always that numbskull who would get up and stay up all night the night before a book was due just in case we'd get a pop quiz and I'd read it. So I wasn't the kind who would kind of spark notes my way through school. I just never saw the value in that. My students, however, disagree with me and they spark notes their way through life. Number five, the last book you wrote in the margins of. Since I stopped being a student, a graduate student, I don't do that nearly as much. And throughout my teaching career, it was only in the books that I was teaching that I would really annotate in the margins things that I wanted to remember to tell students or passages I wanted to make sure to call their attention to. And so the last book I taught, I think, was Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And so I would have annotated that book for those classes. Number six, the last book you had signed. This I do remember with clarity because it wasn't very long ago. I went to the Decatur Book Festival and got books signed by 4 different authors, but the last of those was Rebecca Mackay's The Great Believers. And I still have not had a chance to read it, and I'm really looking forward to reading that one soon. Number seven, the last book you lost. I don't lose books. I have a lot of books disappear on me, but it's not because I've lost them. But I used to keep maybe 200 books in my classroom, and students knew that they were welcome to read them with the understanding that they would bring them back. And of course, that doesn't happen. So over the years, I have replaced a lot of books that students have borrowed and just never returned. The last one that I know disappeared, however, disappeared because a faculty colleague didn't return it. It's one of those books, though, that I didn't really enjoy, so I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. Maybe it's better off that somebody else is enjoying it. The book, by the way, was Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter. I just didn't really like it that much. Number 8, the last book you had to replace. That would have been Hard Times. I don't have any idea where my original reading copy of that has gotten to. Over the years, I've moved so many times, and every time I move, I have jettisoned some books, some by mistake, some on purpose, and that's one that was not on my shelves when I went to reread it. So I bought the Penguin English Library edition from Book Depository. I've fallen in love with that particular set of editions, and so I was very happy to have that one from the Penguin English Library. Number 9, the last book you had an argument over. I'm not sure if you can really call it an argument, but a very different opinion from some of my fellow booktubers or readers, and we've talked about it online, and there's really 2 of them in this last year. The most recent year was Ottessa Moshfegh's My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Absolutely hated that book. I saw no point in it. I thought it was stupid. I think it's because I'm old. Young people think that's a profound book. I don't get it. The other one that I didn't get for similar reasons, although I think I hated it less than Ottessa Moshfegh's book, is Elif Batuman's The Idiot. My problem with that book is that it's pretentious. It puts itself into the tradition of Dostoevsky and James Joyce, and doesn't live up to either. And I didn't have any patience with basically a millennial narrating her life, as pointless as it was. And at the end, the author kind of tries to make a claim that it's this portrait of the artist as a young woman. She's growing up to an artist, and all this stuff about language is supposed to be profound. But then at the end of the book, the narrator says, yeah, I didn't learn anything from this. This was a wasted year of my life. And it was a wasted 15 hours of mine. And the last question, the last book you couldn't get hold of. As I mentioned to you, I love the Penguin English Library editions, and I started buying some of those for my favorite authors. And one of those is Thomas Hardy. And when I did a buddy read of Jude the Obscure, I wanted to get the Penguin English Library edition, but apparently that one's not in print anymore, and I could not find a used copy of it anywhere. So I used a different Penguin edition of that one, but I couldn't get the Penguin English Library edition. If it ever comes back in print, or if I ever find one at a used bookstore, I will snag it up, but I'm not willing to pay $75 for it, and that was the price I saw online for the one copy I could find. So there you have it. Short and sweet. The last 10 books tag. Like I said, this tag is months and months and months old, and I'm just a slug getting to it. So I'm not going to tag anybody directly. But it is interesting to see who keeps books, who has to replace books. I've replaced so many books over the years. I don't know how many different copies of certain titles that I have purchased. Or the last book you have signed. I'm not one that's big for going to book events. But I did get some signed at the Decatur Book Festival, and that was fun for me. All right, everybody have a great week. I'll talk to you again soon. The workers have been here yesterday and today. They're on the last section of wallpaper for my master bedroom, so assuming he finishes that in the morning like he plans to, they're supposed to be moving furniture into my bedroom tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow night or Thursday night, I'll actually get to sleep in my own bedroom, which would be awesome. It'll just make everything just so much more comfortable for me. Until I talk to you again, maybe on Friday for Friday Reads, I'll see everybody later. Bye.